Welcome to part 2 of the letters. In part 1 we have discussed the importance of the letters that Van Gogh sent especially to his brother Theo. These letters reflect the meaning behind his paintings. As mentioned in part 1, Van Gogh's painting and letter writing are two sides of the same coin. They are parallel forms of an almost uncontainable passion for self-expression. Van Gogh signed his works with a simple Christian name, Vincent. One reason why he did so was that he was seeking to put distance between himself and his origins in a family of careerists and petty bourgeois piety. I ask you quite openly, he wrote to Theo, letter 345, at a time when he was living at home, chafing at his parents' cast iron moral attitudes. How do we relate to each other? Are you a Van Gogh too? For me you have always been Theo. I myself am different in character from the other members of the family, and really I am not a Van Gogh at all. What mattered was not one's descent, not the loudly proclaimed membership of some family of high social standing, but the individual, pure and simple. Vincent signed his paintings as he signed his letters. It was his way of declaring them the work of a man revealing his inmost self. In February 1884, when he hit upon the idea of thanking Theo for his financial and emotional support by dedicating his entire artistic output to him, his oeuvre definitively acquired the same private character as the letters, and the simple signature, Vincent, expressly attests a modesty that only recognizes artistic obligations towards his brother Theo. Now I have nothing and am wretched, put forth from the face of goodness, and I love my wretchedness and shudder at what is most sublime in my eyes. I have one hope, a hope for that unhappy brother of poetry. Madness, with all her charms, poetry cannot ever give me what I have experienced in life. Her love is no substitute, so perhaps it will be friendship, perhaps her brother. He is infinite, he comes between us and the world, and never quits our side till we are with the gods. Thus the German romantic Clemens Brentano, in a metaphorically complex passage that links the brother with madness. Vincent van Gogh's correspondence is resigned in tone, and its melancholy is the seed-bed of a kind of greatness in his view of himself, and the nature of the correspondence becomes strikingly clear if it is compared with the correspondence of that fated generation of German romantic writers. In letter 345, for example, Van Gogh adopts a tone that is arrestingly similar to that of Brentano's lament. Life is a terrible reality, and we ourselves are running straight into infinity. What is, and whether we take things hard or not so hard does not affect the nature of things in the slightest. When I was younger, I inclined more than I do now to think it was a matter of coincidences, of insignificant things, of misunderstandings, but as I grow older I am increasingly changing my mind and seeing profounder reasons. Life is a strange business, brother, following his thoughts on infinity and on the woes caused by time. The simple word brother seems laden with cryptic significance beyond a mere address to a relative. It is as if Van Gogh's deep sense of loneliness saw the sole chance of solace in his brother, much as another German writer, Heinrich von Kleist, longed to be understood, if only on occasion, by one other human soul. We have the impression that Van Gogh's entire will to live is being focused on the addressee of his letter. At the same time, it is his need to express himself to that person which establishes his will to live in the first place. The addressee is the point to which all his melancholy, but also all his confessional courage, tends. It is a precarious balancing act, since the writer becomes existentially dependent on his sense of the reader's interest, and out of that balance arises the desire for the two to become one. "That is why I long for you so much," wrote Brentano, "so that you and I together may abjure belief in everything ordinary and prosaic, so that I can write whatever occurs to me without any concern for criticism or the demands of the age. You will be so kind as to have my stuff printed above your own name, because as soon as you have made me happy I shall no longer wish to have a name, and what is yours will be mine." There is a distinct similarity in the way Vincent van Gogh viewed his relations with Theo. Letter 538. "Now I feel that my pictures are not yet good enough to compensate for the advantages I have enjoyed through you, but believe me, if one day they should be good enough, you will have been as much their creator as I, because the two of us are making them together." Brentano's flirtation with madness and Kleist's suicide were attempts to bridge the gap between literature and life. In the intensity of his own struggles, Van Gogh was to outdo them both. It would be wrong to exaggerate the similarities between his correspondence and that of the German Romantics. There was nothing conscious or imitative in the affinity. Still, it serves to highlight an important, arguably the most important tradition in the artist. Vincent van Gogh was a thorough romantic in terms of his emotional world and his lack of inhibition in living it to the full, and the comparison with Kleist and Brentano also underlines the close ties between Van Gogh's art and his letter writing. Both means of expression articulated the artist's entire personality and were catalyzed by his tendency to relate exclusively to his brother Theo. In the next episode, we will talk about the religious life of Van Gogh. We will discuss about how at one point in his life, he was a religious maniac. Please do subscribe to our channel and be a part of the life journey of Vincent van Gogh.